Mark Hamill! Cut the music, we can't afford the royalties to John Williams. So. And, you know, the introduction, I mean, that announcer was so great. How do I follow that? And when I entered, I just came upstairs. Let's do take two. Here's the entrance that you wanted to see. What do you want to do, Mark? I said, why don't you give me like a big, overstuffed, comfy chair? Because I don't want to really feel like I'm talking to a huge crowd. I want to feel like I invite you over to my house and we're sitting in my living room talking, right? So for everyone here, it'll be just like you're sitting in my living room, except I won't be serving snacks and you can't use my bathroom. But other than that, it'll be just like you're at my house. I did, I don't know, maybe 35 guest stars on different shows, about 9 TV movies, and then I heard about this movie, Star Wars. So I went in and I met with Brian De Palma. He was casting for Carrie, and I met him. There was a little guy with him with a beard who never spoke. Brian said, "Where are you from?" And I talked about it. And when I left, it was a catalog. You know, they were seeing guys that could play Luke, guys that could play Han Solo. So it was 50, 60 people there, all milling about it. And when I left, I said, "Who was Brian De Palma's assistant, that little guy that didn't talk?" I said, "George Lucas." But that scene there, it's still one of my favorite movies ever. Yeah, I'm not going to get into stories, because I mean, everyone's heard the story that I didn't read the whole script until I got the part, which is shocking, you know? I mean, I'll never forget sitting down and after only reading the scene, there's a scene in the cockpit with Han Solo. You've all heard this story, right? Yeah. Basically, what happened is, so I go in and I'm trying to get a feel for it. I couldn't get a feel for what this was. I said to George, I said, "Is this sort of like a parody of Flash Gordon? Is it like books look at science fiction?" Well, let's just do it and we'll talk about it later. Translation, let's just do it and we'll never talk about it. George doesn't like about hearing about motivation and backstories. He's a real filmmaker. He really comes alive in the editing room, not so much on set. He tapped Tony Way, which was our first AD, and Tony from the Royal Air Force would go, "Turn over!" Because in George said, "Action." We go, and then Tony would go, "Cut it!" So George was no help. At the audition. So I go to Harrison, who's going to play Han Solo in the scene, and I knew him from American Graffiti. He didn't like that because he didn't have the. He played Bob Falfa, but he made me laugh in just the short scene that he did. So he did like that. But I said to him, George, is this like is this a series or? Hey kid, let's just go. The smartest decision I ever made was play it sincerely. Don't take it upon yourself to comment on the material. Do it as real as you can. So I did the scene, and a lot of times when you come out, it's like when I auditioned for Texas Wheelers, I said, I really nailed it. I made the creator laugh, I mean, you could just feel that I did a good job. My agent said, how did it go? I said, I have no idea. I mean, I said the words. I didn't go up on my lines, but I don't know how it went. So some time goes by, and then she calls and they say they want you for Star Wars. I said, really? And they said, yeah, they're going to send the script out, and you can read it as soon as they get it to you. And I'll never forget reading it. The front page said, The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journal of the Wills, Saga #1, not 4, the Star Wars. So it starts like you know, a long time ago in the galaxy far, far away. You read this thing and I'm thinking, wait a second, because the feeling I got at the audition was that Harrison was the leading man, and in the scene, I was really annoying. You know? I was like this whiny little kid. You can't turn back. That's an actual, like, Kelsey will kill me for doing that, but an actual line from the screen test is where he said, hey kid, I don't know my part of the bargain. I'm dropping you and the droids off the minute I get the chance. And I say to him, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Hamill or Artsabers, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. Now, you know, when I broke it down, I said, you can diagram the sentence and make sense of it. But we can't turn back. Fear's their greatest defense. Yeah, that big giant Death Star thing. I doubt the actual security there on the Death Star is any greater than it was on Artsabers, 2 made-up planet names. And what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. Meaning, yeah, in the Millennium Falcon, it's the size of a penny that can slip through it. It all made sense. Now try saying it like it's coming into your mind for the first time. It's like, oh my God, it's incredibly hard. But all I'm saying was, I figured then Harrison is the leading actor, and I'm his sidekick, you know, like Buck Rogers and whoever his sidekick is. But you know what I'm saying. And so I'm reading this thing, and I'm thinking, oh, Harrison must be Luke Starkiller. Yeah, that's it. And so I started reading it, and I realized really early on, I went, oh, wow, it's being seen through the eyes of this teenage farm boy. And Harrison's Han Solo doesn't come until later. It was quite stunning. And now I forgot why I brought it up. I promised I wouldn't tell the same stories over and over, and I already broke my rule. I go back to this. It's wrapped, you gotta let it go. Oh, that brings me to my original point. Between Star Wars fans and me is that I did the job, I revere the job, I am grateful for George Lucas to be a part of it. But it's over.
Never!
I'm grateful for the time I had. But I don't go back and watch them again. I mean, most of you know more about Star Wars than I do. Because you've seen them many more times than I have. You've played the video games. You've read the novels. I get it. If there's something that you love, you want to know everything about it. And you want to have more of it and experience it in every way you can. I totally get it. But I mean, my eyes glaze over when people say, remember when you visited the Wookiees home planet? Is this thing, huh? What episode was that? Oh, no, it was in Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and they named some novel that I'd never read. But that's the disconnect, because you guys know more about it than I do, and I can learn from you. Like I say, I mean, I see, you know, part of the job is that you get the job done, and then I feel that you have a responsibility to promote it. If they want you to go on the Tonight Show or whatever, you do what they say, you talk to the magazines, and you do everything they ask you to do, and then you go on. But so, I saw each of the movies when they came out. There was no premiere for Star Wars. They just opened it. They had a screening for us, and we watched it. I think there was a premiere for Empire. I know there was because it became Star Wars. And so I saw each of those. And I remember when George did the special editions, Lucasfilm called me and said, he's doing the special effects. And I said, oh, good. If he sends me a copy, I'd like to see what he's done. And my kids were outraged. They said, you're not going to go? And I said, you guys have seen these movies on videotape more than I have. They said, yeah, but we've never seen it in a theater. Oh, of course. That's the ultimate way to see anything, is in a theater. A full audience. When you watch a comedy at home by yourself on the couch, it's not like seeing the producers, with a full audience. Or it's Mad World, or any one of the hobby. So I did in would have been 20 years later, 97. We saw Star Wars, we saw Empire Strikes Back, and we saw Return of the Jedi in the theater once. And I think they went back with their friends several times, but I fulfilled my obligation. We're on our own now. But for instance, the last time I saw 9 was, when they screened it for us. And I saw that movie once. I saw 8 a couple more times because I did go on tour for that one. They sent us to Mexico and, London and Japan, all these places. And I did, like I say, everything they wanted me to do. On 7, they didn't want me to do anything. Part of the plot was, where's Luke? And as you know, my contribution was brief. The greatest entrance in the history of cinema. Because the end of 7 is the beginning of 8, so that's one movie. And so I saw them all when they came out. But I'm forgetting all these things, to really have been up to speed, to be able to answer all your questions, I'd have to go back and see them again. You know what I'm saying? Because I forgot these things. Oh, wow. So Luke died from an overdose of the Force. He OD'd on the Force. But what I'm saying is, that's why I'm so moved when I talk to people like you, where it has made an impact on you, where it helped you through some troubled times, or someone's illness, or you met your future wife or husband because of your love of the movies. What I'm saying is, I totally understand it, and I feel humbled to have been even a small part of something that made such an impact on the world. And to see all of you. But that's another thing. People say, are there people that inspired you? I was frozen in awe of Sir Alec Guinness, because my mom loved him. And we saw, the Lavender Hill Mob and the Lady Killers and Bridge on the River Kwai. I had seen so many of his movies by the time I worked with him. Again, I got choked up, I couldn't talk around Groucho or George Harrison. And he took me out to dinner, or to lunch one time to meet before we went to Africa. It was the first thing we did for the first movie, was to go and do all the stuff in Tunisia. So it was me, Guinness, Kenny, and Tony, the droids, and Peter Diamond, the stuntman, did the Tusken Raider. But we did all the stuff on Tatooine, and then we came to England. And then about a week after we got back to England, Harrison arrived. And George likes to cast people that are so close to what he wants, he doesn't have to do a lot of direction. And I just idolized Harrison. He was like everything that I wanted to be. Cool, sarcastic, a womanizer, everything I'm not. You know, I read the script, I said, I want to play Han Solo or Darth Vader. Those are the two best parts. So with Guinness, I'm out to lunch with him. And, you know, I have the lunch and everything. And I don't know whether it was lunch or later when I was up in his dressing room talking to him, he apologized for the lavender sink and the lavender toilet. He said, this was Elizabeth Taylor's dressing room. Very recently, I had nothing to do with the lavender facilities. But at one point I was talking, I was calling him Sir Alec, and he sort of reached out and gently. The third one was really hard. I said, what? He said, I want to be known by my name, not my accolade. I remember saying, what do you want me to call you, Big Al? And he laughed. That's one thing I would always say to do. I could make Sir Alec. I could make Alec laugh. Yeah, there's been so many people I've been so lucky to work with. I remember I said, oh darn, I don't get to work with Peter Cushing. So you've seen photographs where I have the newsboy cap on and I'm in civilian clothes with Peter, because I came in to watch him shoot, and the boots were too uncomfortable and tight. So when they were in close-up, once they got the master, he would change into these slippers. Fluffy slippers. So here's Grand Moff Tarkin being evil Moff Tarkin with a little fluffy slipper. And yet, he was also grateful that I knew beyond his Hammer horror films, that he had become Shakespeare, that he played Sherlock Holmes, you know, because I was a true fan. And he couldn't have been more, I mean, he's just one of the most delightful, just the quintessential English gentleman. He would smoke, but he'd wear a glove so that the nicotine smell wouldn't get on someone's hand when he shook their hands. I mean, how considerate is that? But I mean, and he invited me to lunch, and we talked about, and it was great. And you know, Carrie felt the same way. She said, well, you get to work with Alec Guinness. I don't know really how to wrap this up. See how long no extra charge, by the way. You know. I know there were questions submitted. Yeah, I feel that a tiny generation have been born and become fans of your work in Star Wars. I kind of covered that. The answer is good. I feel good. Okay. Oh yeah. Playing the character of Luke Skywalker at such a young age, are there noticeable ways in which playing Luke Skywalker showed who you, Mark Hamill, grew up to be? Are there events in your life that you found yourself thinking as Luke Skywalker? The fact of the matter is, Luke is like, he's representational. I mean, it's basically a fairy tale. So, you know, you have the farm boy, you have a princess, you have a pirate, you have a wizard, you have the evil, you know, malevolent force of Vader. So he's an idealized person. And I know that I couldn't be as selfless as Luke, I couldn't be as brave as Luke. Not only am I not a pilot, I vaguely don't like flying. I'd rather be in my armchair at home, not wearing pants. Pandemic spoiled me forever. I remember, I've told this before, it's funny, you know, because, you know, they'd pull me aside, they'd say, Kirchner wants to meet you in your dressing room. It's like, uh-oh, you know, it's like going to the principal's office. And they said, okay, remember in the script, when Darth Vader says to you, you don't know the truth. Obi-Wan killed your father. And we filmed it just like that. That's what Dave said. That's what really the crew heard. And I did it just like you see in the movie. No, that's not true. That's impossible. Within 3 days, one of the extras who had heard that recording leaked to the newspapers. And on the front page, in a little box, it said, Guinness head baddie in Star Wars 2. Because it hadn't been announced as Empire Strikes Back then. And I was delighted because Kirshner pulled me aside and said, I'm going to tell you something. George knows, I know. And now you're going to know. So if it ever leaks, we'll know it's you. What? We're going to take out Obi-Wan killed your father and have him say, I am your father. I didn't shock anybody that saw it. I said, really? Is he really my father? I said, well, read the scene. Because when he tells you, Obi-Wan killed your father, and I go, no, that's not true. Search your soul, you know it to be true. And Luke now, having vestiges of the Force, can look inward and go, he's not lying. So, at one point, again, I was the only one that knew, and I was really scared. I said, I talk in my sleep. But they told us one day, we want Carrie and you to come up to the office, we're going to tell you something. And so we're sitting there and they said, okay, we're in the scene at the end of one of them. It must have been the third one. What was it? Return of the Jedi. We're going to reveal that Luke and Leia are brother and sister.
Oh, snap.
We both stunned, and our first thing I said was, wait a minute. If Princess Leia is my sister, does that make me royalty? And Carrie, without missing a beat, went, no. Just asking. But she really realized being a princess. Because in real life, her father was Debbie Fisher, her mother was Carrie. And Debbie Reynolds, she really was Hollywood royalty in that community where, because my parents were Bill and Sue Hamill. Yeah. So she's very protective of that. And I never let it go, for years afterwards. I'd always say, well, sure, let's see, Queen Amidala, Lord Vader, Princess Leia, come on, I've got to have some sort of tie there. I'd my teeth and say, you were so immature. I loved her, obviously, and she was hilarious, and I could make her laugh. Remember going back to leveling the playing field by making people laugh. I said to her, we would be back and forth like real brothers and sisters, or we could be as close as could be and spending time in each other's trailer, and then we had big fights where she says, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Get out of my trailer with pleasure. And we would speak for 3 or 4 days, and then like real brothers and sisters. What were we fighting about again? So she was someone, like I say, that touched us all, and maybe it's just not wanting to face reality, but to me, she's very much in the present.
Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. This was day one, but we've got a full weekend of the Fun Fan